Masked Hero.
Hello everybody and welcome to another Marvel Champions discussion video. This week we are going to be talking about my favorite heroes to use in each aspect, which is a video that I did back in the fall of 2024. And I really thought that I would be getting back to it sometime around August or September of this year. That did not happen. But I wanted to use my remaining few weeks of 2025 to really kind of do retrospective videos, thinking about where I stand this year versus last year, or just over the entire expanse of my Marvel Champions time. And this felt like a video that really ought to be made. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about each one of the aspects and go over the heroes that I find the most appealing in each of these. I want you to sound off in the comments what you enjoy from, one or all five of these aspects. This is the list. Let's not waste any time and get right into it by talking about, of all things, let's talk about the pool aspect. So with the pool aspect, I found this to be maybe the hardest to nail down, because a hero that is good in this aspect either needs to, on some level, just have a really strong hero kit to the point that the surrounding cards start to feel nebulous, or the available card pool just breaks the hero. And over the course of 2025, while my games with pool may have been limited to like maybe 12-ish, I was really impressed by what I was seeing with Wolverine, She-Hulk, and Magic, and what they were able to leverage out of the smaller card pool that we do have. Because obviously the only cards that we have are what came in the Deadpool Hero Pack. My hope is that is something that will be alleviated in the coming years, although at this point we are far enough away that I'm not sure what we're going to do, because looking at 2026, I can't pin any of these heroes from the Daredevil wave for 2026. I don't see any of them as good candidates for being pool, and maybe I'll be surprised, but I don't see it. It's possible maybe Elektra is pool. That would be kind of cool. And as I was trying to think this over and figure out where my heart really sits on all of this, I realized that SPDR really gains the most from the play style that I want to get out of pool. Being able to access Live Dangerously to double our natural hand size is already a boon. But Tic-Tac-Toe and Healing Factor give us this consistent use for the resource cards that come with the aspect. And I think that's ultimately why, when I think of the easy choices like Wolverine or She-Hulk as being these solid hero packs that could basically use the basic card pool really well to supplement the handicap that we have from the pool aspect cards, I'm kind of left in a situation where, yeah, those are good, but at the same time, I'm not really looking for consistency when I play with pool. I'm more looking for a good time. Not every deck that I have put together this year, or at all, always makes its way onto Marvel CDB, but I wanted to try to provide examples of what kind of decks I was playing with this year. And so after doing some deep dives into the published decks on Marvel CDB, I found that there was a deck that I will put in the description from DFreak06 that very closely captures what I was looking to do when I was playing pool with SPDR. And I'll even say that they include Stick-to-itiveness, which is a card that I am fully aware of but kind of forgot about because the card that it's parodying is just so poor. But I just love its inclusion in this deck. Additionally, I wanted to highlight what Heroic Skeleton did with Silk, because you read the description and like how they plan to handle Dreadpool, and it's just really funny. And I had not considered that game plan the deck that they have drafted up makes me want to try it, because I haven't tried Silk in pool yet, but that deck made me want to. So go check out both of those. I feel like I'm saying an awful lot about pool, even though I feel like it's the hardest one to kind of nail down, and it's the one that I feel like anything I say is just very by the books, because like, what are you going to say about a card pool of like 23-ish cards? It's a hard aspect to gauge. But what I will say is, at the end of the day, I've just enjoyed the time that I've put in with SPDR, basically from like the last 18 to 24 months. Moving on to aggression. 2025 was an interesting time for the aggression aspect. I found a lot of decks that I really enjoyed while I was just brewing up different ideas across the year that really made me recontextualize heroes that I had not put a lot of thought into. I really feel like Ghost Spider moved out of protection for me for the first time in a long time. And I don't even know that there were a lot of new cards that were printed, but it was more of like my own play style, my own way of thinking about the game evolved, and my own like ability to kind of like understand how to sequence everything. And I think that Ghost Spider is a hero that definitely rewards you the more you know about the game. But then we get Winter Soldier and Tigra, who were printed this year, and they came with some incredible aspect cards that not only their pre-constructed decks, just like they're awesome. I like both of their pre-constructed decks. I was really impressed by both of them. Obviously, sometimes you want to take out the only one of per deck or only one in play per player deck cards. You want to sub those out for other things to just sort of slightly improve those decks. But I was really impressed by those decks. But at the end of the day, as I was thinking it over, and I was thinking over all these factors like Ghost Spider, Winter Soldier, Tigra, I had to go back to my roots. Because I've really been enjoying Thor this year in aggression. It's just been so rewarding. First of all, Winter Soldier and Tigra add so much to through their pre-constructed decks. Thor having access to Coup de Grace as a cheap build-around card if we feel like we need to break glass in case of emergency is really fun. It's not something that I will always do, but in the last month that card's been available, I've definitely considered it, and it's come into play a couple times. But then Thor getting access to firepower, spoiling for a fight, and aggressive stance have added options that I don't always go back to, but are things that I will start to sub out of deck lists I see online to go, okay, would aggressive stance work here? And I think it might. Let's try it out. But I think the root of all this, why I fell in love with Thor and aggression, goes all the way back to this summer when I was playing the deck Swinging for the Fences that was created by Corbin TM. Put the deck list in the description again. This is a deck that I have gone back to, played it the way it is, and I've also augmented it a few times, especially with these new cards that have come out that just weren't around at the time when the deck was published. But it is my favorite deck, maybe my second favorite deck that I have taken from the community this year. I don't know what it is, but like I have rediscovered Thor. Like Thor was not my go-to, but he was definitely a justice hero for me for most of the time because I felt like he had enough strong attack events and the ability to just dole out a bunch of damage that I was less concerned with leveraging things like full body charge with him. But this year, especially with the deck I just highlighted from Corbin, I really began to see a path for Thor to really take aggression and reclaim that, because I think he is built to be an aggression hero. I just think that some of the downfalls of aggression, especially at the time when he was printed in the early years, you look at kind of the middling card pool as they were figuring out what the aspect should do, and I feel like 2025 was the time when all the pieces come together and we can really hit the ground running and have a great time with Thor in aggression. And I've belabored this point. I love what we've seen, and I'm excited to see what will happen in the future, because Thor's just my favorite hero, and maybe not my favorite hero, but he's on Mount Rushmore of Marvel Champions for me. And I'm so happy that he has finally felt like he's actually fitting his niche. Moving on to Justice. Speaking of decks that I wholeheartedly love, I have to go with my go-to Justice hero this year as Bishop. I thought very highly of Bishop in 2024. I thought he was a really cool hero with a really cool gimmick, and I was happy to see how his general gameplay worked, his general play sequencing, and his gimmick. We already went over that. But when I played this deck by Nitz and really explored what it was capable of doing for Lucas Bishop, I very quickly set aside other heroes that I would normally pick for Justice just to play this deck more and more. The more reps I put in with Bishop, the happier I was. And the more I came to really appreciate what he was capable of doing with his uniform, with his rifle. And that appreciation also that appreciation also goes towards 3 steps ahead, a card that I was not thinking of that much. And suddenly, overall, I was so happy that this deck existed, because I will shout from the rooftops any chance I get about this deck because it was a clever name that stood out to me. And then when I played it, it was just a stupendous deck that played so well. And I can't put to words how much I really grew to enjoy Bishop this year. I think at the core, what really makes Bishop a good Justice hero is his ability to either outright stay out of Alter Ego, because he just has such a good ability to recover any amount of hit points that he may lose once you get set up, or he can just pay for anything he wants with the resources in his hand, because he always has resources in his hand. Layer that with Lockjaw, who is a great ally for a hero that just wants resources in their hand. You can just discard Lockjaw, play him when the moment is right. Or Legion, who is really taking advantage of the fact that Bishop is probably going to have a very strong diversity of resource icons in his deck. So you're gonna have a lot of options for what you're going to be hitting. You just blow right through the glass ceiling and you start to make your way up to the upper atmosphere. And I feel like I'm being so hyperbolic here, but I love what this deck is doing, and I love now understanding what Bishop is capable of. I was going back and forth a lot in my head as to how to best decide my go-to for protection, because I feel like there have been a good deal of options. I love where I've been able to take Ghost Spider in 2025, and I have no problem picking up a protection deck with her any given day. Additionally, I've been really impressed with the games that I've played with Hulkling once I was able to augment his pre-constructed deck a little bit, because there were just some things that just didn't jive with me. Despite that, I just can't get away from Domino. I think she is one of those heroes where you can fill her deck with 25 random cards, and her kit is so strong that you will be able to make something of it. My go-to suite of cards with her in protection is Deflection, Jump Flip, Not Today, and What Doesn't Kill Me. With any mix of those cards at your disposal, Domino just never takes damage. if you do it right, she just never takes damage. You can just let her pistols do all the damaging. You can let her events handle whatever situation you're looking to get yourself into, that additional damage, doing some thwarting, deflecting, treacheries. And, sometimes you carry over her thwarting events simply because you know that you'll be able to utilize it well, and that can be a solid card in your hand. Like, if you need to get rid of a bunch of threat next turn, you're good. If you want to put it back on top of your deck, that's also great. She can do that. And it's astonishing what she's capable of. And I don't know, she's just one of my favorite heroes to play protection in, and will probably always in some form be my go-to protection hero. I think it's going to be really hard for her to be unseated. Obviously, we're looking at someone like Luke Cage, who will probably be in protection, but it's entirely possible that we may see Echo in either Justice or Protection in 2026. I think a lot of the heroes we see next year are going to definitely be coming for some of these spots. I don't know if any of them can compete with Domino. And what really makes me sad is thinking about how, to me, Domino is a top tier hero. And as we move into the current and legacy spaces, a lot less people are going to have access to the next evolution box, which I think in itself is a stupendous box. And they're also going to miss out on Domino, who I think is a top tier hero in Marvel Champions. And it's a shame that access to her may dwindle over the coming years. Lastly, and this actually went on for far longer than I was expecting. I'm looking at the recording time. I thought we were going to have this in a clean 10 minutes, but I have so much to say. Let's talk about leadership. I went into this video wondering where I would land with leadership, because I have really grown to enjoy the aspect in many different ways, whether that be through a really fun Falcon deck I built, just exploring Phoenix and Captain Marvel in leadership has been really rewarding, and Magneto has also been a really fun leadership hero this year that has really spiked the amount of gameplay that I've put into the aspect. But at the end of the day, my heart just cannot escape Deadpool. Not only do I have my Bosom Buddies deck that I've talked about in the past, and I think I've had in some, that was a playtest for a custom scenario. So I don't know that I've actually played it on the channel before, like in paper. But I love the Bosom Buddy deck. It allows you to leverage Cable the best way that I know how to. But also I've been thinking about Deadpool as a solid multiplayer hero. in a deck that I've called Just Believe in the Me That Believes in You, and real ones will know that reference. But this deck has made me think about Deadpool as a hero that is just never going to get defeated. He's always going to have at least one hit point. And if you can give him cards like Lead from the Front and Morale Boost that work well in single player, but also in multiplayer, you're able to pump up a hero, really bump up those stats and do something with them. But I think what really pushed me over the edge to say I think that Deadpool can be a really good multiplayer hero was the printing of Resource Reserve, which came out this year and allows you to pass resource cards around, meaning that you can give something like your Montage, which Deadpool can usually get good use out of, but there are other heroes that in their kit alone can get a pretty good use out of Montage, plus just out of Aspect, being able to pass that over to somebody and for them to be able to use it. But I think even just stuff like Effective Leadership, which a lot of players play with allies, and if you can just be like, hey, here's a wild resource that will bump up the ally you're about to play, everybody improves. And I think, additionally, Chimichanga Truck, I think is a great multiplayer card, and just all these things stacked together to say that I already have two different lanes that I want to play Deadpool in that make leadership great, and I know I'm going to probably be alone in this. So yeah, for the second year in a row, Deadpool is my ride or die in leadership, and I don't know what will quite change that. I'm pretty sure that Domino will also stay in a position in protection. Well, I already outlined the fact that I do think that there are heroes that could come for that title. And I want there to be a little bit more of a toss-up year to year, but no matter what gets served to us, we have such a wealth of heroes in this game that you can justify just about any hero in any aspect, and no one's really going to fight you on it. I do have to wonder what heroes we will see in 2026, if any, that could possibly surpass Deadpool in leadership, because 2026 is pretty stacked. I've talked at lengths now about this, but yeah, in one way or another, those are my favorite heroes in each one of the aspects. I want to know what heroes you find to be your go-tos in different aspects. You don't have to lay out all 5 of them. Just say, hey, I love Justice. This is my favorite hero in Justice. Let me know. But until the next time, I will see you in the next one. Have a great day, and remember, you're doing great. Keep it up.